All right, just adjusting it. Whoop!
Oh! Hey everybody, it's Chris Negline again with the Nerd Extravaganza over at the Adventure Game Store where we have our RPG experience. And we're going to get into it right now with Hal Mangold, who is, of course, art director extraordinaire for both Green Ronin and Atomic Overmind.
Pleasure to be here. I'm the art director and one of the owners of Green Ronin Publishing. Green Ronin Publishing, if I pronounce it correctly. So thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So, basically give us a scoop. What's coming up? It's early this year. What are we going to see in 2017?
Well, let's see here. To start out with, we just released the Atlas of Earth Prime for our Mutants and Masterminds role-playing game. And that just came out in this past January, so it's about, about 2 or 3 weeks ago now. And that is a complete, excuse me, I have a little bit of a cough, so I have a cough drop. I apologize if that interferes with my talking at all. It is a complete overview of the Earth Prime universe, which is the universe, IP universe for Mutants and Masterminds. We cover the entire globe, all the different countries and everything like that, as well as some that don't exist, and some worlds that don't exist, like Atlantis and Subterra, which is the underground kingdom and everything like that. So we're really happy with the way that came out. Next up for release is Blue Rose, which is the romantic fantasy role-playing game that uses the Adventure Game Engine, which is the same rules engine we use to power Dragon Age and Fantasy Age, along with the Titan's Grave adventure that we put out, I guess, a little bit over a year now. That's turned out fantastically. We kickstarted it last year, and we did really, really well, and everybody seemed really, really into it. So that is in our warehouse right now, and we'll be hitting stores hopefully in a little bit later this month. Follow-ups for that later this spring include a Game Master screen for it, along with a Game Master's kit, which is actually 7 pre-generated characters that you can use to play with, a set of reference cards that are dry erase that you can write on, and a really nice GM screen. We have an adventure compilation called 6 of Swords, which should be out, I think, somewhere around May-ish at this point, which is 6 adventures set in the Blue Rose universe. We also have a set of special dice that are coming out, and I think that's April at this point. It's been one of our big projects for the end of last year, getting it all ready and off to print. We have a monster book for our Freeport Pathfinder setting coming out. That's about to go to press hopefully this coming week. Just about done, and that's about 160 pages of really, really cool monsters for pirate adventures. Let's see what else we have coming up. For 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, we have the Book of the Righteous, which was one of our best received and reviewed and one of the best selling of our D20 products years and years ago. And we did a Kickstarter to update that to 5th edition D&D. And that provides a complete pantheon, along with all the rules to do for that of gods, that can be just ported into almost any world you want to use it in. And that's going to be great. It's a big book. I think it's probably going to come up somewhere around the 256 plus area, and that should be releasing, I think, around May as well. We have the Volcano World Book, which is that's the Titan's Grave World Book. That's for the Age system, and that'll be a complete overview of the Volcano setting, where the Titan's Grave Ashes of Volcano adventure takes place. That's a big full-color hardcover. Should be out, I think, June or July-ish. The biggest thing for this year that we've announced so far is the Critical Role game that is based off of Matt Mercer's extremely popular webcast where he plays a game with, I believe the name of the group is Vox Machina, which is a bunch of really, really talented voice and actors who play out their campaign. It's been extraordinarily popular. And Matt is actually writing it, and we're looking at, that'll be for the 5th edition rule set, D&D, and that will be available hopefully by Gen Con, so in August. And there are a couple of other things. We have a new release for our Love to Hate judging mechanic card game. Love to Hate Comics is coming out this spring. And, goodness, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, and Freedom City, our big, the 3rd edition of our big superhero setting, main city, the East Coast city, Freedom City, should be out sometime in, I think, April-ish. And then we have Rogues Gallery, which is a villain book for Mutants and Masterminds, which will be out sometime, I think, also spring, and also for the summertime. This is a lot of stuff. I just realized we're doing a lot of stuff this year. This is actually a pretty key one to the Mutants and Masterminds line, which is the basic Mutants and Masterminds basic handbook, which will be targeted at new players. It steps through the rules very, very simply and very, very easily, and teaching people how to play the game. It will allow game masters to get their game going a lot quicker, I think. So, and that's about it for the first couple of years. We have a couple of unannounced projects at this time that I can't really talk about yet, but watch our website and you'll see announcements for them.
Well, considering that you've also done, as we mentioned, Dragon Age and Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
that could be some potentially really big news.
It could be. It could be. Yeah. We'll just have to see, won't we? Oh, we do have another Dragon Age book as well, Faces of Thedas. Well, finally, this book has been taking forever, be coming out, I believe, sometime in early summer. So.
Cool. So, but that's just half of what you do.
Oh, probably 2/3, but yeah. On the side, I run a small company called Atomic Overmind Press that has published a couple of well-regarded products. Twitter Lovecraft Tales was our first one. That was Kenneth Height's sort of snarky but informative essays on all of H.P. Lovecraft's major works. And then we, for a while, we actually did a game called Untitled Metropolis. We were in partnership with a company called New Dark Age. We've split off with them at that point. They're off with Strix Publishing is who they've teamed up with now. And I think it's going to be a really good match for them. It's just, it just wasn't a perfect match for us as a company. Those guys are great, and that game is going to be fantastic in it, wherever they take it. The Day After Ragnarok is also one of our best regarded games, which is available primarily in Savage Worlds and in Fate versions. And it also is available in Champions 6th Edition version. So the company itself has been on a little bit of a hiatus right now, and but we have been moving in between people handling our shipping and marketing and stuff. But we've just transferred to a new one, and we should be back up and running fully, I would think, by the end of February. And all of our stuff should be available in distribution by then. So, Day After Ragnarok at this point has been, it's available for Hero 6th Edition, and it's available slightly more importantly just because of the support we can offer for it. For Fate Core and for Savage Worlds, which was his native one, and the original one. Ken is going to have a little bit more time, and he's going to be turning some attention toward it, so I think we have some stuff. The most important thing is, of course, just getting it back out there into distribution, where there's been a little bit of a lull as we've been transferring companies. But we definitely have some products lined up for it. The Speleoherpetologist Guide is the one that we had announced before, and it is, in fact, written, but needs to be developed and turned further into a product. And that is adventures inside the actual corpse of the giant snake that lies across the earth, which is part of the Day After Ragnarok conceit, is that the Midgard serpent is wrapped partially around the earth and is dead.
In what time period?
This is 1948 is the current year.
So just after like World War II.
Right.
So it's another spin on top of it.
It falls into the realm of sort of diesel punk, is I believe the area where it falls in. We've got a couple of adventures that in the pipeline as well. One called Celtic Double Cross, which takes place in Ireland, and hopefully we should be getting PDFs of that sort of stuff. I'm not sure what we're going to do in terms of a print for those quite as of yet, but there's a strong possibility that may end up in print a little bit later this year. And then I should probably mention at this point that, and I forget if we've announced this anywhere else, but I'll let you know. I've partnered up with, I think I've announced it elsewhere, but with Greg Stolze. He produced a game several years ago called Reign, which is a sort of a game of running a kingdom. And we have partnered up with him for a second edition of that, and we hopefully will be kickstarting that sometime this fall, if that all goes well, and that should be fun. But more present and upcoming news than that is that we are just going to be crowdfunding the reprint of Tour de Lovecraft and hopefully expansion of it. It's been out of print for a couple of years now, and it's one of my favorite things I've ever published, and we're going to return to these stories with Ken. A straight-up reprint will be the basic goal of the Kickstarter, but I think if things go well, we're going to try to add some more content to it, like maybe expanding the purview of what stories he covered, because he covered all the core Lovecraft authored stories. I think we may expand it to cover the collaborations, some of the poetry, and so on, and there's even the possibility of a follow-on book if everything goes well with it. So watch for that. I think we're probably going to be kickstarting that sometime, I'd probably guess about a month from now, sometime in the Marchish time frame. But just watch our website and our Twitter. Our website is currently down, but it will be back up by the end of this month, and we'll be able to distribute news about it by then, I think. So that's generally what's going on with Atomic Overmind Press.
Great.
Yeah.
So it seems like Freeport just never dies, does it?
Well, it's the first thing Green Ronin ever did. Well, it's not technically true. Technically, the first thing we ever did was Orc, the role-playing game, which actually I should mention, and I forgot to mention it. I believe we are doing a second edition of Orc, the role-playing game. It's a one-shot game. It's hilarious. It's a game of playing exceedingly stupid and violent orcs, and all of their adventures. One of the strongest things about it is that the dice mechanic of the game is you are dicing off against your god to see if you succeed at stuff. And how hard it is depends on how much your god approves, Crom approves of what you're doing. And we put it out years ago, and we've been banging around the idea of doing a second edition. It's a fantastic game. It'll be a lot of fun. But our first most successful thing was actually Death in Freeport, which came out. It was either the first or the second D20 adventure put out. I think that Atlas Games may have beaten us by a day or two because they were released at Gen Con. And I think they might have released theirs like on Thursday or something. I can't remember exactly, but we're in that first two. So Freeport, we love it. It's been around forever. Who doesn't love pirates? And the Pathfinder book came out terrifically. So we're going to be supporting it for the foreseeable future. I think with a couple of books. There's an adventure series going on right now called Return to Freeport, which there are going to be, I believe, 6 pieces of, which will be collected together into a print book at one point. But we're on, I think, the fourth part of it is just about to go into art direction. I think so. We should have it out in about a month, I think. So, but we really enjoy Freeport. I hope you do.
Oh yeah, I mean, despite being just Pathfinder currently, I've used it for 2 to 3 other systems.
Oh, fantastic.
Some that have been supported by you guys with me had that little ingenious way of having the system neutral version.
Yeah.
With the PDFs to the side.
We loved that idea, and unfortunately, system neutral stuff just has a thing about it. So that book never quite sold as well as I think we would have liked it to.
And it's a beautiful book.
It's really nice, and it's black. It's if I can have it, I can do it over again. I do it in color, of course, because color's always sexier. But yeah, I'm very proud of the way that book looks. It's good, and the 2 supplemental books we did too. We did Buccaneers of Freeport and Cults of Freeport afterward, and those both came out terrifically, and I'm really proud of them. But yeah, people do prefer stuff tied to us to generally to a single system, and it's weird because gamers generally prefer it tied to a single system. In as much as if you create a book that has 2 systems statted up in it, you sometimes get static about it because people feel like they're buying something that they don't want, even if they're getting what they do want. They feel like this other thing is here intruding, and it's a shame about that because it prevents us from doing it for more genres. I think for more systems, but books do need to sell to create them. So
does that mean there's going to be a 5th edition on the horizon, or no comment just yet?
5th edition of Freeport, we don't really have any plans for it right now. I think that the strength of what we've done this time around is we said Pathfinder, Freeport is Pathfinder, and we're going to stick with Pathfinder, I think, for right now. I mean, we have other 5e stuff going on. The Book of the Righteous and the Critical Role thing are both 5th edition, and I think that those are really where we're going to put our energies for 5th edition stuff right now. And Freeport will just be the Pathfinder Freeport for right now. Although, as part of the Kickstarter, we promised to do a fantasy age version of it. So that will happen some point during this year.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, and I think that's a fine fit that goes with one of our own games. So, and we promised.
So I'm assuming that Fantasy Age, which is capital AGE.
Yes, it stands for Adventure Game Engine. Yeah.
Has been doing pretty well then.
Yeah, it's done very well for us. It's a really strong seller. We have the Fantasy Age Companion is coming out this year as well. That'll be hopefully summertime, but it could be fall at this point. I mean, we have to, and then that will be basically a collection of new systems, some stuff that is in Dragon Age but didn't make it for the Fantasy Age core basic rulebook because we wanted to keep it pretty stripped down for the basic rulebook so people could learn it, and a lot of new material. Like we're expanding out the magic system quite a bit. There'll be new weapons and magic items and different of the specializations and things like that. So it'll be a big fat toolkit of stuff, and it'll be a nice complement for the basic rulebook and the Fantasy Age Bestiary that's coming out right now. We'd really like to put out more stuff for Age. It's just a matter of getting it written, getting it tested, and getting it out there. So.
Because it's basically, with your focus with Age is for beginning role players, or a lighter system.
Well, a lighter system for sure. It's not meant to be D&D. It's not meant to be Pathfinder. The system is conceived as a little bit lighter. certainly the basic rulebook is very, very good for beginning role players, I think, because it's the system is I mean, the actual system mechanics section of it, for how you run combats and everything like that, and the skill system and everything, I think it takes up something like 16 or 20 pages in the book. And the rest is, there's other stuff like the magic system and things like that. But the basic spine of the game is super easy to teach people, and it's probably my favorite system that we've ever developed. I like running it a lot. It's very easy to run. Combats go very quickly. It still has the D&D and Pathfinder-ish tactical feel to it, as in you can play without miniatures, but you can play with as well, and it conforms with that really, really well. So it isn't an abstracted thing, but it's just a little lighter. It's a little faster. Lighter is a bad word. I think faster is probably a better word. And versatile. The stunt mechanic system really allows for versatility in combat and things like that. And the stunt mechanic system as a central spine allows for the creation of special stuff without having to come up with a whole bunch of new subsystems and everything. So it's one thing we were trying really hard to do with the game, is stick to the spine of the design of it as much as possible, so that when new rules and permutations are introduced, they adhere to the already established mechanical ethic of the game. So it's not adding complicated side systems or anything like that. It's once you've learned the base mechanic, this is just some new iteration of it that makes a lot of sense with the core design. I know that Chris Pramis, the designer of it, is very, very strong, and that's like I think when a new mechanic is introduced, his first question he asks is like, can we do this with what we've already got first?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Do we need to have it as a new thing, or can we just adapt?
Yeah. Or if we need to have it, can we do it as a permutation of our existing mechanics instead of some new unrelated subsystem or something else that requires another die roll or something.
When I really refer to it as faster, what I've noticed people playing it is instead of having some paralysis in the front, where they're like, well, here are these things I can do, the stunt system kicks in, and then they have their menu of what to do after the fact. So I know I'm going to do something cool. Now, what's the cool thing I want to do? Versus I'm trying to hope I do a cool thing. Which cool thing do I hope I can pull off? Yeah,
no, I think that's true. It's the difference between coming up with a really complicated stunt that you want to try and do and try to hit the target number and then failing and you feel lame. Where this is like, well, you succeeded. And you get some special stuff. Let's figure out what you did to succeed. So I think that's a really strong aspect of it. And the stunt system also allows you to model stuff for monsters very easily too, right? Like where a special power. D&D used its recharge system, I guess, right, where you would roll a recharge, and I actually thought that was really, really cool because it meant the monster couldn't, kill you with its breath weapon every turn. And then in the Wandering, which I'm playing right now, monsters are powered, I think, by hate, and they have to use hate to fuel their evil powers. But this is a similar thing where like the monster has to produce stun points on one of its rolls before it can actually use its much more deadly power or something like that. So I think it's a good way to make sure that a monster can be or an adversary can be given an ability, but it isn't going to just hammer you with it all the time, and it's good for balancing. I think balancing monsters out.
It definitely adds that unpredictability versus just getting spammed.
It does, yeah. I mean, honestly, if I was a red dragon and I could breathe fire every round, why would you not just flambe everything that was there? So
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way of modifying that sort of behavior on a game. I mean, it's a limitation on the game master, right? Oh, sorry, you can't use that all the time. You can't just kill your characters that easily with it. So,
so unfortunately, we have to wrap up.
That's all right. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to be here at the Fantasy Game Store and Dragon's Lair, where we sit right now.
That's right. And thanks again for watching for the Nerd Extravaganza podcast. Take care. See ya.